I mean, I hear questions about like quantum computing, right? It's like one of my pet peeves. Because,
well, let's go there. Let's go there.
Well, the thing is, very few people actually know the details of quantum computing. And they have like these popular misconceptions that somehow quantum computing can do exponential calculations in like linear time or something like that. That's not the case at all. And if you know anything about quantum computing, you recognize that the engineering challenges are so difficult that like you need like 3 or 4 breakthroughs that are the equivalent of essentially doing cold fusion before you're anywhere near like being able to do something like that. And we still don't have cold fusion. So like, there you go.
Do you really see the engineering challenges as being equivalent or at parity with cold fusion type things?
Even setting up a qubit is like incredibly difficult. It's literally atoms at like nano degrees above absolute zero, and you have to keep them in this weird quantum state for a significant amount of time, and you have to error correct for the fact that these atoms have like half-lives and things like that. So, and then you have to keep it in you have to keep it in some sort of like that quantum state until you observe the thing that you want to observe. So if anything leaks in that shows prematurely, then you're not going to be able to observe the thing that you need to observe. Like there's so many little things like that from an engineering standpoint that, you know, I mean, like obviously it's captured the imagination of VC. So of course they're going to write articles about it or whatever. But from an engineering standpoint, it is extremely difficult. And I don't think people really appreciate how difficult it is. And when I hear people talk about it as if it's inevitable, it's like, it is anything but. Kind of like cold fusion, right? Like people thought it was inevitable in the 80s because there were all these popular articles about it. You know, I still remember Back to the Future too, right? It's like there's little Mr. Fusion. It's like cold. It's just going to happen. Talk to any physicists and they're like, there's no way. Like it's not going to happen in my lifetime. That's how it is.
I think what you get though is you have people that read a couple articles. They see Google is now, they've got their own quantum computing, right? This is where everyone goes. And they say, well, if Google's got this computer and it's got this many qubits of processing, like it is real, Jimmy, this is happening. It's only a couple years out. So what do you say to that person?
Then go tell me what the Google paper actually said, because what they did was actually not that impressive. I mean, essentially they define quantum supremacy as the ability to come up with a random number. Oh, gee, a quantum computer, anything quantum related always spits out random stuff. So of course it's going to be better at it than like a conventional computer, which is deterministic. Acting like that's some like incredible breakthrough is just really disingenuous. Yeah. And more marketing than anything. And
it's marketing.
And this is the thing about any sort of like, I just want to go on a rant here for just a little bit. This is one of my pet peeves about like all these like corporate R&D departments is that almost always you have somebody in charge of that R&D department that needs to justify why that lab exists and why their job is important. So they love press releases and they will deceive the hell out of any reporter and make their achievements sound like it's way more than it is. And it's not just Google, right? It's every company that's ever done anything blockchain related. It's like, oh, we did this, and this, and it's so incredible and it's going to change everything. Yeah, they're just justifying their jobs.
Well, then you combine it with the fact that the people on the other end that are reading it, they are very excited to bring up in casual conversation that they're talking about quantum computing.
It's kind of like, yeah, it ends up being something that they can use to sound smart. And the unfortunate reality is that, you know, I don't know, quantum computing to me has jumped the shark like maybe 10 years ago. It was something that was exciting, that we didn't know that much about it. But then like, you know, you learn more about like the engineering challenges related to that. And you go, okay, there's no way this is going to happen like anytime soon. And even if it did, there are mitigations anyway. So people place just way too much importance on stuff that, you know, the press sort of like tells you about. I mean, we're all like kind of over consuming media. So there's a tendency to get manipulated by the media in ways that we don't really recognize. And this is one of them is from a science perspective, there's the illusion of making more progress than there actually is. There's actually very little progress in a lot of areas. It's just a lot of people that need to justify their salary, so they make it sound like they are.